Welcome to Trading Lounge and the US indices, and starting with the S&P here. And as you know, we've had two counts for this. One is bearish, which is this one here that we're looking at, and one of them is bullish. And the bullish one in a nutshell would be wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, and then an A and a B and a C back to the 50-60% retracement level, and then a move up from there, and we'll look at that. But this is the one here. But the other interesting thing here too, as I mentioned last time probably, is that in both cases we are looking for a top here, and the fact that Apple has dropped significantly, and also Twitter as well. So it's a bit of an inkling that we know that we have a top in place. And also our other main point here too is that from this wave 4 here moving up here, we were looking at counting 5 waves up here. Either being the bullish move or this particular bearish move, both of them are the same. They've got 5 waves in them. So we're looking for a turn, and that turn is probably in now. The 2,800 here as a resistance would help us determine that top in place there, but it certainly looks like the top is in place. So yeah, with this count here, we'll just go to the 4-hourly chart, and this is what we'd been looking at here. So this is the bearish count, so just squash it in here. So from wave B here going up as wave 1 here, 2 here, 3 here, 4 here, and then looking for 5 waves up here. So yeah, that's pretty much how that sort of pans out, and we would be looking down here for wave 1 and wave 2 here. I mean, this is going to offer some support in this little area here on the top of group 2, partly because of group 2, and also partly because it's the 50 and the 60% retracement level from these two areas here. So if there's going to be a sort of a retest coming back in here, it's likely to come from this space here. But yeah, the 2.8 is the support here, so any move down through here will see a bounce off this. It may pierce it through here a little bit, but there is a fair bit of support here on the intraday basis, so likely to kick back there. So the move up through here, we're looking at 5 waves moving up through here, and that looks completed now. This gave me a little bit of trouble in here. Was looking for another little high to come in place here, but for the simple fact that this has moved down so much and created overlapping wave structures, then we would need to say, well, we need to, in one way or another, we need to look at the top being in place, and there's various ways to count it. In this case here, we could count it up for 1 and back for 2 here, and then 3 and 4, and then 5 coming up into this space here. So there's different ways to count it, but the main point is that we were close to a turn here, and that move down has certainly helped us clarify that. So what we need to do now is we need to clarify the next leg down, because obviously we're fighting a bullish, not just this trend, but we're fighting, a much bigger trend as well. And to say, oh, that's the top there, well, you better have some evidence for that. So that's what we need to get, and we'll gather that step by step. But first of all, let's just have a look at the well, just coming back to this particular count here. In this case, it's a long way down. In our bullish case here, we're looking at this low here, and this low here somewhere, and we look for this top here, and we're looking for a 50-60% retracement level. So it's in this space here again here. So either in both cases, if this is a bullish move to here, it's still going to come back to the 2700 and then move up from there. If it's going to be this bearish case, well, then it's going to come down even further. But even so, whichever way we look at it, even if those two counts are not right and we've made another mistake, then we would still need to see this 5-wave structure here. If it is completed, then we'll need to see that pull back here as well. Okay, so in both cases, there's no long trades just yet in all of this, but on the bullish count here, we'll just squash this in a little bit. Wave 4 low in place here. The wave 1 I've got up here, which I think is probably, well, they're both these. I can have wave 1 here or wave 1 over here, but in this wave 1 over here would be in line with the NASDAQ in that case. And if it was going to be bullish, then we know that would be pulling down to the 2700 mark here. So still quite a long way down through here. But as you know, I'd like to gather a little bit of evidence for that as well. If it is this wave 1 over here, then we look for this as wave 2 back over here, and then this is wave 1 here. We only come back to this area here. We have blue wave 1 and blue wave 2 to here, 50-60% of this route. But we wouldn't go long just on this here either. From this point here, we would want to see the market find support back over here. And in a way, well, the 8's really important as a profit-taking number. It's the third strongest number, 1, 5, and then 8. So if there's going to be another correction, then it's likely to be at this space here. But also, too, in terms of a bullish move, we would normally see the market move up, have a correction, then have another 5 waves up, and then have a larger sort of ABC pattern here. And then if it finds support on the 2800 here again, well, then we can look to go long at that point. But we're still a long way from that. But make no mistake, if we get a setup, if this goes an A and a B and a C down here and then finds support on here, we will be going long from that point. But our main job at the moment is to consider this particular move down through here. So let's, I suppose, we'll just go to the hourly chart here. No, that doesn't make, okay. So look, I'm just going to go to the tick chart here. This is the best way to handle this situation here. So let me get some, I'll just get a bit more data in here. So first of all, as you know, I was looking for one more little wave up here because I didn't want to call this wave 1 here because this had overlapped a little bit here for wave 2 here, but derivatives, I need to take certain, I need to take certain liberties, I guess, with this. But I'm not sure. But what I do know, I mean, this could be a truncated 5th wave as well. So this could be wave 1 here, wave 2 here, wave 3 here, wave 4 here, and then it's somehow a truncated 5th wave with 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 here. I'm not quite sure, but the fact that this has moved down so far and overlapped these structures here, then we have to call the top in somewhere. And I was thinking just on this minute level here that we have 1 and 2 and 3 here, because this is a nice strong 3rd wave, isn't it? And then we've got a nice complicated 4th wave here. If wave 2 is simple, then wave 4 is complex. So I think it's fairly safe to say that we can put wave 1 here and then call this an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave here for wave 2. And then that being the case, then we can look at this here being 5 little waves down for 1 and 2, and then 1 and 2 and 3, 3 and 4 and 5 here for wave 1 and 2 in here, then 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 here for the 3rd wave, and the 4th wave being big and ugly compared to wave 2 is doing its job. So it does have this as an A wave here, a B wave here as a flat correction, and a C wave here. So we can pretty much call that in here as wave 4 and wave 4. 38.2% retrace comes in at 50%, but anyway, that's there, and that should move down from there. So when it moves down here, it should move down to the 28 here. So what I was thinking is, it's all a bit sort of squashed out a bit here, isn't it? I'll just squash it in here a bit just to get it in, but it doesn't make any difference. I can't draw in here, but I should bring all these letters and numbers over here, labels over here. But from wave 4 here, we should see a move down here to wave 5. We should see a bounce off the 2800 here, and then an A and a B and a C for wave 4, pulling back up to the wave 4 of 1 lesser degree, and then we'll see wave 5 move down. So how far will wave 5 move down? All I was doing here was thinking, well, this is going to bounce off here and come back to here. So what we could do is take this to here, and our first extension would be in here at 161. So this space here for for this as such in here, and then looking for an A wave and a B wave back up into roughly into this space here. So what I was thinking is, well, if we get 5 waves like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 here and 5 here, then if we get these 5 waves here, then that means that after an A and a B and a C here, we'll get another 5 waves down. Okay, so I'm thinking that all this is going to be a little bit tricky to trade in here. Sure, you can go in there and scalp, and people are trade for different periods of time, so I can't tell you what to do, but just in tracking the trend here is that this wave 4 will be rather choppy. I don't know really, this should be just simple 5-3-5 structure, and then we'll see down. But I think that all in all, we'll look for this ABC correction in here, and then we'll put, I can't draw over here, but we'll put a line through here, and we'll look to be shorting over here. If you're going to short now and try and get through all of this here and then look to add over here, then you would need to leave the stop you know, way up here somewhere, well out of the way. But we don't know if we've got a bear market yet either. I think we have, but don't have the evidence for it. The part of the evidence would be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. Having those first 5 waves here will give us a corrective move, and then another 5. So this 5 will be confirming this 5. So that much we know. So I really just need to leave it at that, and we'll move over and have a look at the NASDAQ. So with the NASDAQ here, we're looking at this in terms of a bullish count here. So we're looking at wave 3 here, an A and a B and a C here for wave 4, and then looking at 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. And this is a good fit here, but if we, but if we counted and then a move down as an A and a B and a C down to this area through here, and that would be the 2700 or whatever it was on the S&P, and then a move up from there. So this is valid as well. You know, if we line this up with the bearish count on the S&P, well, then we would have to have that as a B wave there, and wave 4 over here, and this would be an expanded flat. So coming above, well, this B wave came above here. Well, it'll be just a smaller B wave, and this one up here. So this would bring us all the way down here. So yeah, let's see about that. But as it stands at the moment, is wave 3, an A and a B and a C for wave 4 here, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 here for wave 1. Look, not that it makes any difference, but we need to obviously see 5 waves down here as well. So I'll just cut through to the hourly chart here. So as I mentioned last time, we had wave 4 here, and we were tracking all this up here. I couldn't figure out. It wasn't clear to me that what we're doing with this extra little wave in here. So I'm not sure about that, but we thought that if it was going to be bearish, then we needed to short below this one here. So if you short, that's fine. You may not have held over the weekend, probably not, but then we'll need to leave the stop above here. But otherwise, if we're and I still don't understand this just here. I could see possible ways I could sort of make it fit, but I don't know, so I'll just leave it as I don't know. But we have to call that top in because of the stronger move down here. So once again here, this is pretty much the same count as the S&P 500, and that would be in this case here. We could even have wave 1 sitting over here too for this here. I haven't had a look on a tick chart, not that it matters that much, but because it's in line with the S&P with wave 2 here, looking down at 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 down through to here, wave 4 back, and then wave 5 here. So if the extension's in wave 3, that means that wave 1 and wave 5 will be roughly the same. So I don't know. This is the 50-60% retracement level. So this is where it's going to find support here. And then the shorting really comes in over this side over here. So once we've got something through wherever that low and that high, that these two lows here, we can draw a line across there and short. We should be able to get a better short up in this space up here though. This will be 5 waves, because it's a wave B, or wave 2 rather, then this will be 5 waves, 3 waves and 5 waves here. And once we got the low in here, then of course we can also look to get the 50-60% retracement area in here, wherever this low is here. So that will bring us back up into this sort of area through here. But let's just, we don't need to worry about that just yet. So yeah, that's sort of where we are with that. All right, thanks for tuning in. Much appreciated. Cheers.